The only thing that really matters in this election for you is where are we now compared to when we got in this fix? What should we do now to get out of it? And who is more likely to do it? Right. The rest of this is all background music. It's immensely entertaining background music. But that's all that matters. Where are we? What are we going to do? Who's more likely to do it? Every election should turn on that. In other words, it's a choice. The reason the senator's opponent keeps kind of shuffling around here is he doesn't want this to be a choice. So if he says anything that might make you choose, you would choose somebody besides him. Because, you know, a lot of these positions nobody's held for 110 years. Literally. You know? We fixed the Veterans Hospital thing when I was president, and it's one thing that President Bush left intact. These people make him look like a dangerous liberal. And President Obama has continued to build on the veterans' health care. He wants to privatize that. Take something that's working and mess it up. That's the program. So they're not saying much. Why? Because he does not want this election to be a choice, but wants this election to be a referendum. A referendum on your anger, on your disappointment, on your anxiety, on your frustration, on all your worries. He wants you to bundle it all up and make this a referendum. And the only way you can cast an honest vote on all your concerns and your anger is to say no, whoever's in it. But if it becomes a choice, then he's got a problem. That's what this is about. The reason they're sanitizing their websites all over America and not making campaign appearances and everything like that is they are desperately afraid that before the election you will wake up and remember that it is a choice. What's more absurd? Michael Bennett has been already voted based on his votes cast as one of the 10 most independent members of the United States Senate. How are you going to make it into an automaton? Answer, get the anonymous committees to dump on him and hide so nobody can ask you about him being in the top 10 in independence. I mean, that's what this is going on. So here's what I want to say to you. First, I do spend an hour a day studying this. And the senator said a few things, but I want to talk a little bit because I want to tell you the things I want you to tell people who aren't here. No point in us having a good time unless you leave here committed to saying things that will convince people who are not going to vote they must vote. Convince people who are still persuadable they must vote for Michael Bennett. So that's what I want you to think about, okay? The reason that I hope I have some credibility about this is that the attacks on President Obama and the Congress and the senator in particular center on jobs, spending, too much government, okay? Now, take a little walk down memory lane here. It is true what he said, but I want to give you the numbers. Jobs. In the 8 years you let me serve, we had 22.7 million new jobs. That was, wait. This is important for the other people. You don't need to clap for me. It was 30% more than in the previous 12 years, and literally 10 times as many as in the next 7 years and 8 months before the collapse, 22.7 to 2.5. Okay, now, deficits. In the previous 12 years, for the first time in the history of America, the crowd that talked tough, sounded conservative, but really acted soft, quadrupled the debt of America. We went from $1 to $4 trillion in debt. It worked for the first 8 years because we'd never done it before. I mean, basically, We had good credit, and we just, sent everybody to the candy store and gave them free candy. But by the end of 12 years, you elected me president because we were going into a recession and nobody could borrow any money because interest rates were too high and people were in trouble all over America because we quadrupled the debt of the country in good times and messed up the good times. So it took me 4 years to balance the budget. Then I gave you 4 balanced budgets and paid $600 billion down on the debt. We would have been completely out of debt by 2015 for the first time since Andrew Jackson was president in 1832 if they had stayed with my budget. Because of a little rule that Senator Bennett strongly supports. People ask me all the time, what great new economic idea did you bring to Washington? And I always give the same answer, arithmetic. I had this silly little idea, that if 2 and 2 was 4 in Little Rock and Denver, it might be 4 when I got to Washington. Lo and behold, it turned out to be. Now we're laughing, but we had a rule called pay-go, pay as you go. What it meant was that in normal times of growth, if I wanted to do something new, fund 2,000 charter schools, fund 1.6 million kids in after-school programs, I had to either come to you and say, this is so important, I've got to raise this or that fee to pay for it, or tax, or stop spending it on something else and spend it on this. And it worked. It wasn't rocket science, it was arithmetic. And it worked. Okay, the first thing they did, these conservatives, when they controlled both the White House and the Congress after I left office, was to repeal arithmetic. They got rid of the pay-as-you-go rule. Fought 2 wars, gave the seniors a drug benefit, borrowed all the money from China, and the price we paid for that was we reduced enforcement of our trade laws by 80%, which virtually destroyed support for free and fair trade in America because we couldn't be fair anymore because we were borrowing money from the people who had big trade surpluses with us, so we quit enforcing the rules. And that's one reason we lost manufacturing jobs 8 years in a row and only had 2.5 million jobs. Then there's the matter of the size of government, something that really bothers them. We had a reinventing government program under Al Gore. We got rid of 16,000 pages, not regulations, pages of regulations, and left you by using, not laying people off and firing them, by using technological advances, left you with the smallest federal workforce since Dwight Eisenhower was president. In other words, it was bigger in the 12 years before I became president, and it was bigger in the 8 years after. So when the Tea Party people tell you they care about the size of government, they care about balancing the budget, they care about creating jobs, tell them they're looking at the wrong examples. There's only one place they can look in the last 28 years to figure out what works. Why is that important and why has it got to do with his election? This. When we really care about something, something that's really life or death, we look at the facts. Like football, we care about football. Go Broncos! I bet half the crowd saw the clips of Tim Tebow running for his first touchdown yesterday, right? And we know what happened. We know scores, we know statistics. I mean, this is really important. I'm a baseball fan, it's World Series time. I know the facts. It's only when something doesn't amount to a hill of beans, like the economy, whether we have a job, whether our kids can go to college, whether we're going to lose our home, what America's going to be like. When something, is not important, like economics and politics, that we say, don't bother me with the facts, I got my mind made up. Folks, that's what's going on here. So just humor me. Let's pretend just for a minute that this is preparing America to be in a global sports contest that we must win, to rebuild the middle class and give poor people a chance to work their way into it and give our people a chance to rebuild their dreams. Let's just pretend for a minute that the facts matter. This is what I want you to tell people. Everybody you can between now and the election. This election is a tale of dueling stories. The Republican story goes something like this. hey,